Of all the maniacs who operated in the Soviet era, experts consider Anatoly Nagiyev the most extraordinary. He always acted brazenly and spontaneously and possessed such incredible strength that he could break the handcuffs. The fact that the maniac successfully avoided arrest for a long time can only be explained by his incredible luck. Fortunately, Nagiyev's luck limit was not infinite and the beast suffered a well-deserved punishment. Anatoly Nagiyev was born on January 26, 1958 in the city of Angarsk, Irkutsk region, in the family of a Dagestan and a Kazakh woman. When Talik was 5 years old, his family moved to live in the village of Ivnitsa, Kursk region. There, the father left his wife with 3 children and the woman had to literally fight for survival. Anatoly grew up as a difficult child. He was not attracted to study, and the boy solved all conflicts with the help of his fists. Unable to cope with her son, the mother sent him to a boarding school, from where Nagiyev repeatedly ran away. The only hobby in the life of a teenager was sports. Anatoly was seriously involved in weightlifting and gymnastics. Physical training gave him the opportunity to emerge victorious from all fights, including with adult rivals. Nagiyev early became interested in girls and showed signs of attention to them. But, despite the athletic physique and pretty face, he was not popular with the female sex. Anatoly blamed his small height, 165 centimeters, for everything, because of which they often made fun of him. Receiving one refusal after another from the girls, the man fiercely hated all the representatives of the weaker sex. For the first time, Nagiyev broke the law at the age of 17. He raped a vocational school laboratory assistant who rejected his advances. The crime committed in May 1975 became known only years later, since the victim, intimidated by the rapist, did not go to the police. Seeing that the crime got away with it, Anatoly commits another rape and is not reported again. This strengthened the bastard's belief in his own impunity and spurred him on to further crimes. But the third victim turned out to be not a timid one. A former classmate raped by Nagiyev, despite threats, wrote a statement and Nagiyev was sentenced to 6 years. Anatoly was sent to one of the colonies of the Komi Republic, where they tried to lower him on the very first day. Physically strong and agile, he did not let himself be offended, having arranged a real massacre. After that, Nagiyev, who received the nickname Mad, was left alone. In 1979, while serving a term, Anatoly Nagiyev unexpectedly became a fan of the work of Alla Borisovna Pugacheva, who was rapidly gaining popularity. The rapist set himself the goal of achieving the favor of the singer at any cost, and if he doesn't succeed, take her by force. At the Pechora railway station, Anatoly saw a girl who looked like Pugacheva. Nagiyev met her and, using his charm, asked for a visit. Having been refused intimacy, the psychopath flew into a rage and, grabbing a kitchen knife, inflicted more than 30 blows on their new acquaintance. After that, the maniac abused the body and fled. After this incident, Nagiyev was in a state of constant fear for a long time. Every minute he expected to be arrested. But after a couple of months, he realized that the atrocity had gotten away with him and calmed down. In May of the same 1979, Nagiyev committed his second murder, and again it was connected with the railway. At that time, Nagiyev, in order to get from Chikhshino to Pechora, boarded the Ukta-Pechora train, bribing the conductor with a small present. Nagiyev was identified in a compartment in which a woman was traveling, an accountant of the construction and installation department of the city of Sosnogorsk, who was carrying documents to Pechora. To the misfortune of a fellow traveler, she seemed to Nagiyev like Pugacheva, and he invited her to have sexual intercourse right on the train. In response, the maniac received not only a refusal, but also a good portion of ridicule, which turned him into a real beast. The maniac stabbed the victim twice and then strangled him with a handkerchief. After that, he performed sexual acts with the already dead body and removed gold earrings and rings from the corpse. Having hidden the body of the unfortunate woman in a luggage box under the bottom shelf, Nagiyev moved to the next carriage, in which he calmly reached Pechora. The body of the girl was found only 2 hours after the arrival of the train, when they were cleaning the car. It was not difficult for the conductor to guess who committed this murder, but he kept silent, as he was afraid of responsibility for an official crime. Such a nomadic lifestyle completely suited the maniac, who was already unstoppable. Nagiyev attacked women, raped them, but did not kill them. Investigators found that during 10 months of work as a projectionist, Anatoly raped at least 30 people. Nagiyev went to the Mother Sea on the Kharkiv-Moscow train, as always, without a ticket. He again agreed with the conductor, whom he softened with a story about a trip to a seriously ill mother. The car was almost empty, so the woman allowed Anatoly to ride for a small bribe. Having looked closely at the conductor, Nagiyev once again discovered the similarity of the woman with Alla Borisovna, and this decided her fate. In response to an offer to have sex, Anatoly heard a rude refusal, after which he grabbed a hunting knife and stabbed his victim. At the time of the murder, a second conductor looked into the compartment, to whom Nagiyev also inflicted several fatal blows. The man experienced a real shock when a blood-drenched maniac looked into his compartment. But he said, "I cut women like chickens, but I don't touch men," and went out, carefully closing the door behind him. The electrician locked himself in and spent the next hour shaking with fear, waiting for lunatic to change his mind and come back to kill him. But Nagiyev had no time for him. He returned to his victims and, first of all, removed all valuable jewelry from the bodies. Then, one by one, the maniac began to carry the bodies into the vestibule and throw them off the train on the stretch between the stations Steel Horse and Stanovoy Well, in the Oriel region. And Nagiyev got to the capital and began to implement his plan with Pugacheva. But some information, the maniac even managed to visit the singer's dressing room, where he made his way with a bouquet of roses under the guise of a passionate admirer. But the pop star has always been surrounded by fans and colleagues, so Nagiyev failed to implement his plan. Soon he managed to track down Pugacheva at her house and even get into her entrance. The plans of the maniac were destroyed by the vigilant concierge, who began to ask him questions and threaten him with the police. Panicked, Nagiyev shamefully fled. After chatting for some time in the capital, the killer realized that it was better for him to lie low, and returned to Ivnitsa. At home, he safely hid the valuables taken from the victims, and presented a diamond ring to his friend. On September 12, 1980, Anatoly Nagiyev was arrested in Dnipropetrovsk. The maniac immediately refused to admit his guilt and was placed in the press hut. But Besheny's cellmates did not know who they were contacting. An attempt to put pressure on Nagiyev cost one of them an eye, and the second one almost made him disabled. While the investigation was going on, the maniac was in the pre-trial detention center of the city of Orel, from where he made his first escape. After scattering the guards, he tore open the handcuffs, broke the window and jumped out into the street. Nagiyev fell exactly on the chess table, at which the workers of the isolation ward spent time. He suffered back injuries and was returned to the cell after treatment. Soon Anatoly made another attempt to escape. He broke the spoon and stuck it in his stomach. But in the hospital they did not take their eyes off the maniac, and the plan to escape from the ward failed. The trial of the serial killer took place in the summer of 1981. The maniac behaved defiantly and pretended to be crazy, but this did not stop the judges from sentencing him to death. The sentence was to be carried out in the famous prison of Novorosiysk, where the most famous maniacs of the Rostov Triangle were shot. But during the transfer, Nagiyev escaped at the Kotenok station and, riskily slipping in front of the freight train, broke away from the escorts. The head of the Criminal Investigation Department of the Kursk Police Department gave an unspoken order: if anything, don't take this animal alive. He's already been sentenced to death. If someone is lucky, then bring him to execution. Studying the connections of the fugitive, the operatives found Nagiyev's girlfriend, who lived on the Yanovo farm in the Rostov region. There, in one of the haystacks, the capture group discovered the killer. During the arrest, Nagiyev tried to shoot back with a sawn-off shotgun, but received several bullets and was detained. Doctors miraculously managed to save the life of a maniac, but only so that the sentence was carried out in accordance with the law. On October 28, 1981, Anatoly Nagiyev, a bloody maniac who was only 23 years old, was shot. This is where our video ends. Friends, I will be very grateful if you just like, write a comment and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for being with us.